So, in my opinion, outer space is fake. It is a big deception.
Well, you know what they say about opinions, Hans? They're like feet. We've all got a couple and they usually stink.
It's the price you need to pay in order to
not have everyone think you're an idiot. But on the topic of space being fake, absolutely. And the moon is just a giant nightlight that the government forgot to turn off. And don't even get me started about the stars. Aren't they just holes poked in the backdrop to let the studio lights shine through? Now, we've all heard flat earthers say that space is fake. CC and Level Earth Observer spring to mind. And I'm actually starting to get a little bit concerned about CC. He hasn't posted a video for 2 weeks.
Well, we're waiting.
But I don't think I've ever heard a flat earther say that space is fake and gay. So let's find out what the hell's going on, shall we? Please subscribe.
You can't be a science teacher at a university and be like, no, I don't believe in outer space. That's a bunch of BS.
Well, no, of course you can't. I don't see your point though, Hans.
You must submit to that thought process in order to proceed.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you're gonna teach kids about space, then thinking that space actually exists is gonna be, well, it's gonna be pretty handy.
It's the same thing with evolution. You're not allowed to be a biologist and say that you don't believe in evolution.
Well, I'm not sure I can agree with you about the not being allowed to be a biologist part, but being a biologist who doesn't believe in evolution is like being a chef who doesn't believe in food.
Or we just have to take their word for it that by looking at light in the sky that they can tell me exactly what's happening.
Well, you don't have to take their word for it, I suppose. So are you now saying, Hans, that every astrophysicist that has ever existed is a liar?
Most people, they don't want to be thought of as stupid, and that's why they submit to just accepting whatever the world throws at them.
Well, you shouldn't throw stuff anyway because it's dangerous. But I don't think it's that most people are afraid to accept it because they don't want to be thought of as stupid. I would say it's more accurate to say that people accept the information that astrophysicists share with us because they're not stupid.
Because they don't want to be thought of as a weirdo.
But why would people care? Why would anyone care what somebody else thinks of them? What possible value can that add or subtract from your life? Especially if you're so certain that you are right.
Or, because I'm just saying this because I know a lot of Christian people, I feel like they know that it's totally incompatible.
What's incompatible? And more importantly, incompatible with what?
I see them either just show no interest. They'll just be like, oh, I'm just not interested in that outer spacey stuff. And I think that that's part their cognitive dissonance, that they realize that that stuff doesn't actually, it's not compatible with Christianity.
Or, and stick with me here, they're just not interested in space. And it has nothing to do with their religious beliefs. Not everybody's like you, Hans.
I think that it's obvious that all of those lies are to try to cast doubt on God and on what the Bible says is reality.
And dare I ask why? Now, the accuracy of the Bible can be interpreted in different ways. Historically speaking, the Bible can match up with certain archaeological finds. But the Bible also contains religious teachings which need to be interpreted based on your faith. I really want one of these flat earthers to answer the why question when it comes to why the Earth's shape needed to be fake to hide God.
And I think that it's very clear, but you need to reject the world, but the Bible tells us to reject the world.
Hang on a second. Now, according to you and many other young Earth creationists / Christians, however you want to refer to them, believe that God created the world and everything in it and then wrote it all down in a Bible only to tell you to reject the world that he created. Well, that makes sense, doesn't it?
I mean, it's easy for me because that's how I came to Christianity, through all of this stuff, learning about flat earth, learning about all the Satanists in control of...
And wait just a second now, I'm going to have to try and decipher this in my brain. Right, so are you saying then that you were only a flat earther or a conspiracy theorist? No, let's try that again. So are you saying that you only believe in God, that thing that nobody can prove is real, because you started to get into conspiracy theories like the flat Earth, which is also not real. Does that clear it up at all?
Of course, God is in full control, but here on Earth, who has power here on Earth? The prince of the power of the air is Satan, and his little minions are...
Not real? Yeah, we know. And God only has control over you, and we'll have to base this on the assumption that he is real, but he's not. But God can only have control over a person who allows him to have control.
You know how evil people live cushy lives?
Yes.
Don't necessarily suffer for it here? Well, God is just, and judgment will come on all, and that's why those people get away with that stuff. Because they're not really getting away with it. They will be punished.
But I thought God loved everyone. Why would he want to punish people? I'm not really sure what any of this has got to do with space being gay, but that's why I chose this video.
Okay. If you're in the path of totality for April 8th, total solar eclipse, this is coming up really soon.
Or we can just talk about the solar eclipses, do.
I don't really know how much I want to say about this other than the outer space deception. They don't have proof for any of this stuff. You would have to believe their stories. All they got are stories.
So the fact that there are people in space right now on the ISS isn't proof that space is a real place? Now, healthy skepticism is one thing, Hans, but that's nothing more than denialism.
And it's not science. Science, the scientific method, are things that we can test and verify. Who's going to be able to verify about something that happened a million years ago? I could make all sorts of random claims about things that happened a million years ago, but who's going to verify that?
Paleontologists, geologists, archaeologists. Get my gist? And it always makes me laugh. You refuse to believe scientists who have dedicated their entire career to researching and learning about this sort of thing. But a dusty old book written in Hebrew over 2,000 years ago has the answer to every question you could ever think of asking.
And yet these people will tell you that it's like fact. These things that happened a million years ago are fact to them.
Well, they're not just facts to them, they're facts to everybody. It's just a shame that not everybody accepts them as facts. Because that's why we have conspiracy theorists.
Distances that are a bajillion miles.
That would be astrophysicists.
Who got out the tape measure to confirm that the math isn't just shooting out random numbers?
Well, we don't actually use tape measures, Hans. Now, for closer planets within our solar system, we send radio waves towards a planet, and when these waves bounce back, the time they take to return is measured. And then there's parallax, which is like the cosmic version of measuring something by looking at it from two different spots. Astronomers take pictures of a nearby star from 2 points in Earth's orbit around the sun and 6 months apart, and by observing how much the star appears to move against the background of more distant stars, they can calculate its distance.
Who in school did measurements that proved that the sun is a cajillion miles away, or the moon is so far away, but then they're the exact same size? What? And it's crisp. The image of the moon is crisp. When you move objects farther and farther and farther away, it gets fuzzier and fuzzier, but the image of the moon is so crisp.
The moon and the sun are not the same size. Anyway, the reason we can get such crisp, clear images of the moon from Earth is thanks to modern photography and the fact that in the context of distances in space, the moon's right next to us, whereas the sun is 93 million miles away.
So apparently, I'm just saying whatever I want to.
Yeah, we can tell.
I mean, this is an article about there might be explosions on the sun. The sun is not what they say it is.
Well, tell us what you think it is then, Hans. And when you say explosions on the sun, I'm gonna guess that you're referring to solar flares.
I had a friend back in the day who had a P900 camera, and he bought the solar lens, the filters for looking at the sun.
Well, you should have opened with that, Hans. I mean, if your friend used the P900, then the Earth must definitely be flat, mustn't it?
The moon and the sun are both disks, and they both rotate like a wheel through the sky. It's interesting. You know the song about the wheel in the sky keep on turning?
Now for this, I'm afraid we're going to have to imagine that the Earth is flat. Now, you all think that the moon and the sun are local, but we'll just use the moon for this example. So are you saying that it's like a coin stood up on its edge? So why is no flat earther ever reported seeing like a slice of moon in the sky? Think before you speak, Hans.
See this CGI thing?
CGI.
It's not what the sun looks like at all in reality.
So what do you think it looks like? This?
There's people that their entire livelihood is to sit there at a computer and make these fake ball Earth images.
Now, until I did my interview with Seek Truth, Speak Truth last Sunday, I would have said there's no way any of them believe that, but now, I'm not so sure.
Over and over and over to make people think that they live in this ball Earth reality. How many fake images are we just shoved in our face, whether we want to see it or not? How many obvious fake CGI, ball spinny images or images like this, how many get shoved in our face every single day?
Now, obviously, I can only speak for myself, but my honest answer would be absolutely none at all. Now, it's interesting that you talk about balls being shoved in your face, Hans. Is this what you were talking about when you said in the title of your video that space was gay?
It's a very, very, very common occurrence.
Well, if that sort of thing makes you happy, who am I to stand in your way?
Because they're expecting the CGI bullshit. And when people are faced with reality, they're often underwhelmed because they've been programmed to think that it's CGI.
CGI.
They're allowed to take data on light in the sky, but their conclusions must conform to Spaceballs stuff.
No, it's not that it must conform to Spaceball stuff, or whatever. Spaceballs was a great movie. It just so happens that it always does agree, which is a very clear indicator that the observations we make are based in reality.
Once they have decided on a paradigm, that's it. You're not allowed to have any opinion outside of that.
Yeah, but that's just something butthurt flat earthers say because their so-called observations never line up with reality.
So this almost reminds me of how when Jesus was born, a really bright star came out when Jesus was born.
How do you know that, Hans? I mean, you did say earlier on in this video yourself that we can't prove anything that happened millions of years ago because none of us were there. Well, you weren't there to see the birth of Jesus, so how do you know a bright star appeared in the sky?
So this, I'll just try a binary star system. Who knows? Who knows what's really going on in this stuff?
Astrophysicists. They know. It's their job to know.
God did make the star, the luminaries. Interesting word. Luminaries, the Illuminati, the illuminated individuals probably knew the truth about the luminaries, and they bullshit everybody else.
Look, Hans, you do understand that two words sounding kind of similar do not necessarily mean that they're linked.
But it's mysterious. A lot of this stuff is mysterious. I think a lot of times the answer is we still don't know. I mean, scientists still don't understand sleep. So it's just a bold-faced lie when they tell you that they can tell you exactly what's going on, allegedly a cajillion miles away and 500 bajillion years in the past. But we still don't know what sleep is.
Well, seeing as you said yourself that you were just saying whatever you want in this video, I guess it'll be alright for me to do exactly the same. That's wrong. Scientists know lots about sleep.
3,000 light years from Earth. Prove it! Prove it! How do you prove it? This is where they just start making all this nonsense up about.
Hang on, how do they prove that something is 3,000 light years away from Earth? Well, it's actually quite simple. We know at what speed light travels, and we know how to measure the distance to planets or stars or whatever you wanted to measure. And using those two things, we can accurately calculate how many light years from Earth a particular celestial object is.
Red shifting and blah blah blah. Can you really look at a light in the sky and tell people exactly what's happening there because you've looked at that light?
Yes.
But then it's so obvious. When you really look, they don't hide this stuff. NASA is about as campy as James Bond stuff.
Did he just refer to James Bond as camp? This must be the gay part of space. At last! But hang on a second, how the hell is James Bond camp? He was basically a walking groin. If a woman didn't run away from him, he... you know.
And that's why I don't need to get in a spaceship and go to Pluto to know that they're lying about it. Because of course people will come out with the most ridiculous goalposts. Well, you're not NASA, like, so you can't say anything about it. Well, you haven't been on the ISS, so you can't talk about outer space. They'll always have these impossible goalposts. Nobody is going past the firmament.
I agree, but that's because there isn't one.
I actually had a really cool comment in my other video. Of course, I can't corroborate if this person is real or not, but they were saying that they worked with satellites, and it was kind of a hush-hush but understood thing of the field that satellites, and this is where I totally, it sounds believable that they would say this. Well, you know, satellites aren't really in space. It's like at the edge of, and that's where they'll try to pretend like it's a sciencey thing. Well, you know, our atmosphere actually extends out farther than you would, which how does that make sense? It doesn't make sense that you can have really thin, weakly held on thing adjacent to a vacuum.
And just in case any flat earthers stumble across this video, this isn't what we mean when we talk about the vacuum of space. Suck! Well, there we go then. There's 16 minutes of your life you're never getting back. I am very sorry. I didn't think that this video would just be clickbait, but apparently putting the word gay in the title of his video has helped him get more views. I'm afraid there won't be an episode of the Creaky Blinder Show this Sunday, purely because it's Easter weekend and I'm taking the weekend off. I'm not doing anything YouTube related. To stop my wife shouting at me. I've had a few comments over the last couple of weeks which have given me an idea. People have been asking when I'm going to do another Q&A, so I think I might do one, but I'm going to do it in a sort of self-interview format on the Creaky Blinder Show as an episode sometime in the next few weeks. So if you want to get involved with that, join my Discord server, which is linked below, and I'll be posting the information about it there. Can't think of anything else to say, so love you, bye. Oh, you're still here then. I hope you enjoyed this video and maybe even learned something new. If you did, then you'll probably enjoy this video as well. Don't forget to hit the like button if you haven't already, and subscribe if you're new. And I will see you all again very soon, or in a few minutes if you do decide to watch this recommended video. Love you, bye.